Hi, this is Graphically Alex coming at you with all things fat related. If that's something that interests you, please subscribe. I'd love to have you. Today I wanted to visit Victoria, so we're going to go ahead and talk about what she says. There's like a couple TikToks, like maybe 2 or 3 that I wanted to visit. Let's just get into it. Let's just get to the business, okay?
I am confident. I call out fat phobia because I have the ability to. I can call out fat phobic comments because I have.
The comment says, but you're so confident. But if you're so confident, wouldn't it not matter to you? Okay, so this is her little moment.
The strength to deal with the type of comments that I get on the internet. There are plenty of people who get those comments and it breaks them and it hurts them because I have been that person in the past. I show up for the people who do get hurt by this. And just because I can handle fat phobic comments doesn't mean that I deserve to or should. Your fat phobia doesn't impact mine.
I'm just going to go back a little bit. I would say I show up for the people who do get hurt by this. I don't know. I think that there's something that's a little bit more, I guess, humble at times, which if she were to just admit that it does bother her, I think that it would probably come across as more honest. I'm not saying that I want her message to resonate. I hope it doesn't. So I hope she continues to act the same, which she probably will. But if you actually show a little bit more vulnerability, it might actually help a bit, because it's very obvious that you're not confident, Victoria. Extremely obvious. It's, even for me, like on my channel, I will often say I don't feel confident at this time, or I do or I don't. Like I kind of flicker. Like back in January, I was extremely unconfident. I did not feel good about where I was. I was very upset about it in general. I still wouldn't consider myself like extremely confident, but I'm less unconfident. I'm more like neutral is where I would put it. But I think that there's a point to what this commenter is saying, because you are obviously bothered, like very bothered. That's the other thing too. Like if these comments didn't bother you, you wouldn't have the emotional pitch that you have. Like the way you're talking.
Plenty of people who get those comments and it breaks them and it hurts them because I have been that person in the past. I show up for the people who do get hurt by this. And
see, it's a little bit too high of a pitch if it doesn't bother you. You should, if it didn't, then you'd be able to talk about this calmer. And again, I'm not being hypocritical here. There are times where I am bothered by things that are being said within fat acceptance, but I'm not always trying to act like nothing fat acceptance gets to me, nothing bothers me. No, I've said the opposite. I've said, they have tried, through me watching their content, especially in 2023, they tried to completely destroy my confidence in my ability to lose the weight. And that led to a lot of rage this year because I was seeing how wrong they were in 2023 when I was watching all the content that year. Because yes, I did have faith I could lose the weight. Obviously, that's why I continued to lose it. But the constant messaging, it was difficult, and it was difficult to reconcile mentally because of the massive amount of gaslighting of fat acceptance. I started to feel like I was walking on water in 2024 because I had heard so many messages about how impossible it is to lose weight in 2023. And again, I took that on, etc., etc. I'm not saying I'm a victim for dealing with that. But what I am saying is I am bothered sometimes. I will say when I'm bothered. I don't say, I never get angry at fat acceptance because it doesn't bother me. No, it does. It really does. Like I said, you guys don't understand the amount of things that you guys say that touch upon a deep disorder I used to have. And it is very upsetting. And it's very upsetting you guys continue to try to spread that logic in general as a group.
Because I can handle fat phobic comments doesn't mean that I deserve to or should. Your fat phobia doesn't.
You'd have to define fat phobic Because in a lot of fat acceptance people's minds, just saying like it's unhealthy to be fat is fat phobic. So again, I need to see examples of what you're saying whenever you say things like that. Because again, maybe that's a matter of taste, but I tend to do it. Like, I will tell you guys specific comments that irritate me, like when people say like, "Are you on Ozempic?" That's annoying, but that's a very specific example. It's specific, right? I'm not just saying, "You all think this about me," and da da da. People are like, "Huh?" They don't know what you're talking about. So I don't know what you're talking about. So this doesn't have any impact.
Impact my confidence, but it very well can impact others. The way in which y'all treat fat people is not kind or just, and I will always be someone that calls that out. Worry about your own confidence. I am confident.
Okay, it's not giving confidence, but let's go ahead and move on to the next one. I think this one, yeah. Okay, this one was interesting. So it's just text. I'm going to just read it because it's just like sound. She was in Europe. She was in Paris over the summer. Somebody commented, "What's it like traveling as a fat woman? The US doesn't feel built for us, but is it worse internationally?" All I can say is it's one hell of a reality check when you go abroad. Because as much as they complain about the United States, child, like I've only been out of the US once. I went to Australia and New Zealand. And I tried to buy something in Australia. I still can't fit in it. And it's a 2X. I still can't. And it's like, I'm almost a 1X in America and I still can't fit in it. So it's very like different. But anyways, okay. I'll make a more in-depth video later. I don't think she ever did. I didn't find it, at least. But here's my experience. Europeans have a staring problem. Some places, Italy, are more intense than others, but it happens to me more in Europe than New York. Well, according to Victoria, she's constantly stared at in New York. So is she even more constantly stared at in Europe? It's interesting, right? Shopping for clothes is next to impossible, but I'm aware of that, so it's not disappointing. Just make sure to pack everything you need clothing-wise, and it's definitely a lot more walking than in the US, but as long as you are traveling with people who know what is and is not accessible to you, you can definitely make accommodations for yourself. I personally budgeted more for Ubers, which helps a lot. So I will say that, like, when I went to Australia, it was an intense trip. It was like we're getting up at 3 a.m, going on a flight. Like, we were in different cities like every 2 or 3 days. It was tough. And I was super morbidly obese when I went, and it was very difficult. I was young, though. I was 22, and I turned 23 in Sydney. That was interesting. Oh gosh, and when you travel young like that, there's so much drama. Oh my gosh, there's so much personal drama on that trip. It was... Anyways, of course I remember the personal drama. But anyways, I was really... It was tough. It took me like a month to recover when I got back. Like, it's tough to travel when you're really, really big. My suggestion would be definitely maybe not do like a college travel group like I did, just because the pacing is difficult, because it was tough. And it's like we're getting up at 8 a.m, we're out all day until 10 at night. It was a lot for me. And then a lot of people were partying after that, and I was always like, hell no, I'm not partying. Like, I'm exhausted. So I would just go home or go to the hotel or whatever, because I was dead. But basically, it's a lot. You know, there's a lot of walking because you typically don't have a car, right? It was a lot. So I get what she's saying. She probably was low-key dying on that trip. But I think it's good to travel if you can. You know, I'd never be like, don't go out if you're fat. I wouldn't say that. But I would just say, as a suggestion, if you're super morbidly obese, I would definitely pace it better. And then be aware of where you're going. Like, other places are going to be like, holy crap, if you're really, really big. And I don't mean that in a mean way. I'm just saying, like, if you're traveling to South Korea or if you're going to, Italy or, whatever, people are going to have different views on it than if you were going to Canada. Okay? So just be aware of the culture of where you're going and try not to take it personally and stuff. Like, I don't think you're going to be like beat up or anything for being fat, but there might be a stare or a question or something. I did talk about when Eric went to Thailand and they called him a baby elephant and all this stuff, which was hilarious to me because he was super swollen because he got massively sunburned. So it made him look like he gained a bunch of weight really fast. So that was a funny video. But yeah, just know, for as much as they complain about fatphobic this, fatphobic that, is the most normalized in the United States. I don't think you're going to have as many issues in like Canada or Australia. But in other places, yeah, you will. And that's a fact. I wasn't treated badly in Australia at all, but there was not clothes and stuff. Like, that kind of stuff, and it was very active. Like, I had to be active. Like, we're standing on public transport, like we're walking everywhere, right? Like, it was a lot on a physical level. So yeah, I would just go on a trip that you can pace yourself. Definitely have your clothes beforehand, and yeah, that's what I would suggest. So I agree with her there. Oh, and be aware of the culture of where you're going. So that's the last thing I would say. Now let's go ahead and move on to the last one for today. I think it's this one. Okay. This is another one about like clothing sizes. They're really, really obsessed with the clothing size thing.
You do realize that if you are smaller than an extra small, you can still fit into that extra small. Like, it might be a little bit loose on you, slightly unflattering, but it's not the same thing as being larger than the largest size. If you can't...
It depends. Now, I would say I actually do struggle with clothes being too big because, as I've said, I get really bad chub rub if my shorts, like if my bottoms, so to speak, are too loose. I got really bad chub rub. So I have to actually monitor it. So something can be too big functionally. She's acting like it can't be. It can. I don't know about being smaller than an extra small. I have no clue what that would be like. But again, some of the clothes I'm wearing, they're big. They're really, really big because I was really, really big. So it's not functional after a certain point. And honestly, if we're talking about aesthetics or all these different things, if it's really big on you, it doesn't always look good. I get that oversize is a thing, but it is only to a certain extent. So, and to my knowledge, I'm not sure. I'm not like the biggest clothing shopping girly pop in the world, but I don't know that there's always an extra small available. You guys can let me know. So what if somebody's a double XS and there's just a small? Then that could be kind of drastic, right? So I'm just saying there are other ways of looking at it. She's saying you can physically get the clothes on you, sure, but it can be to a point where it's not functional. And I don't think she's acknowledging that.
You can't fit into an XL or an XXL or whatever, you're done. Like, you physically could not get the item of clothing onto your body. There's no amount of like altering that's gonna make it fit you. If it doesn't fit you, it doesn't fit you. That is like in no way, shape, or form the same thing as like skinny people not being able to fit into a size like XS. An item of clothing being too baggy for you is not the same as it not literally being able to go over your body. 67% of women in the United States or more are plus size, if I'm not mistaken.
I would say it isn't the same, but it can lead to the same result of being dysfunctional for different reasons. I can't empathize with being a 2XS. Like, I have no idea what that's like. But I can empathize with having something that's 2 sizes too big. It can be unfunctional. And again, like, they're acting like somebody's like, they can go shopping anywhere to find things to put on their body. Yeah, I guess in an emergency situation, you can also wear like a brown potato sack. You know, it's like if you're paying money, you want it to fit. You want it to look okay. Like, I don't know. This is just stupid. Which I think it's a stupid conversation, anyways. But I'm sorry. I just really do. I can't even like hold that back.
Taken. Roughly like 19% of the fashion industry caters to plus size women. Do you see? I know math might be hard.
It depends on what sells, and they cannot understand this either. Again, I think that the biggest, I'm going to just keep saying it, the biggest thing with this clothing size argument, they do not understand that the vast majority of people, even if they're plus size, the vast majority, like a huge plurality of people can fit in a 2X or smaller. When you hit 3X, you've become a lot bigger than the norm. It is just a fact. Because the sizing and everything, the reason why a 2X is in all the stores is because they still sell. Whether it's people buying a bigger size that are smaller or people who are a 2X. It doesn't matter. It sells. When you get to 3X and beyond, it doesn't sell as much because it's more rare. Again, it's the TikTokification of these people's brains. They think that because they follow a bunch of people who are like almost 400 pounds, that everybody's like that. That's not true. The truth is, most people are kind of like me. I'm 255. I was 255, 260 at 6'1". That is more average in the United States. So yes, I can go in almost any store now and I can find something that will fit. Because I am solidly a 2X, I can even fit into a 1X in some shirts. And as far as like bottoms, I'm a 1X or a large. I'm in between. So it's like, let's be real. That's pretty average. That's an average American size. Like I said, I'm 2000s fat now. That's what it is. I'm not like, whoa, oh my gosh. It isn't like that in America. It's very, very average. But I'm sure if I went to Europe, I would still be really big, you know? I'd still be big. It'd be like, oh wow, you know? But it wouldn't be like, I have to stare, you know? I don't think it would be necessarily on that level. I think it would just be like, oh, you're American. Okay. It'd be like that. Because I think my impression is that a lot of foreigners, when they think of Americans, they think of that kind of 2000s vibe of fatness as far as like that. Because they can't conceive being like, a lot of them can't conceive being around almost 400 pounds like I was. Like I was 383. People in other countries, they can't fathom that all the time because they never see it. And even here in America, it is rare. I was always the fattest person in the room. In Alabama, which is a very fat area of the country, I will say. So I think it's important, like, you have to be realistic about what sizing is and where you're at. I think having an awareness of it is helpful because it can help you not take it as personally and just deal with it, basically.
Hard. But I'm going to trust your ability to understand that there's an issue there. I don't know why people are on Twitter arguing with me about this before 9 a.m., but I'm going back to bed. And I pray that when I wake up, y'all have developed a little bit of common sense.
Can't stand it when she lectures because she's one of the least reasonable people in the world. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. I will be back tomorrow. I hope you enjoyed this. See you soon. See you tomorrow. Bye.